Thank you for buying the aluminium lighting company Echalon MK3 hinge. This video shows you how to lower and raise the hinged column. You must read the MK3 hinge manual carefully before trying to operate it. This will prevent injury and damage. The manual comes with the column or contact ALC. Your hinge and column is designed for a specific load and location. Exceeding the load may damage it. Do not force the column below the horizontal. This will cause excessive force magnified by the leverage effect. Before operating the hinge, please check it to ensure it has not been damaged. Please be cautious before using it. The new MK3 hinge design has built on the success of the MK2. It has brought us into new markets such as rail and specialist applications like a support for weather data recording equipment. Lowering the column is only possible when the 4 door bolts and the door retaining bolt have been released. Each door bolt should be slackened off in sequence. Relax each bolt crosswise, working across the diagonals. Do not concentrate on one bolt or side. Undoing one bolt or one side completely may put extra pressure on the other bolts. This may make it more difficult to loosen the bolts and may damage the threads. Keep going until all the bolts have been fully released. When unscrewing the door retaining bolt, there may be some movement in the upper column. It may be necessary to support it to prevent pressure on the bolt, making it more difficult to loosen and maybe damaging the thread. As you lower the front structural door, there may naturally be slight movement in the upper column. Lift both doors slightly to pull them apart. Before lowering the column, make sure there is nothing in the way. Push the column forwards, it will descend under your control, assisted by the spring. Do not force the column below the horizontal. Prevent any upward movement and bring the rear structural door back up. The door retaining bolt locks the column and keeps it stable. Always lock the hinge before working on the lantern. If you don't, there may be sudden, uncontrolled movement, especially if the lantern has been removed. The bolt only needs to be hand tight. Raising the column is only possible when the column has been unlocked. Make sure the column does not rise suddenly. Undo the door retaining bolt and carefully lower the rear structural door. The column is now unlocked. Prevent any sudden movement of the column. Push up on the column, it will start to rise and the spring will help you. Keep pushing until it is fully vertical and support it in place. Bring both structural doors up so that the 4 main bolts are aligned with their retaining nuts. Re-engage the door retaining bolt. Do not over-tighten the bolt as this may damage the thread. This bolt has no structural purpose when the column is upright. Each door bolt should be tightened in sequence. Work crosswise across the diagonals. Do not concentrate on one bolt or side. Tightening one bolt or one side completely may put extra pressure on the other bolts. This may affect the alignment and make it more difficult to tighten the bolts. Ensure the bolts are secured tightly, but do not use excessive force in case you damage the threads. Tightening the bolts crosswise will pull the doors together equally. All 4 bolts should have the same amount of visible thread. You can adjust the spring. This is especially important if you change the lantern or other loads. The factory setting may not be ideal. We recommend that all springs are correctly adjusted during installation. There is a balanced feel to raising and lowering if the spring is adjusted so that the column naturally rests at an angle of 45 degrees. Ensure that the column is installed perfectly upright. If it is not, then any movement of the hinged column plus the leverage effect of the load placed on the column will be magnified greatly. Please contact ALC for more information or technical advice on your Echalon MK3 hinged column.